Welcome to the corner again. Here we are in my bright yellow shirt in Southern California, waiting to have some more fun here this week with the banks. One of the questions is about the banks. Okay, what about the banks? Well, let's look what a bank is. A bank is a corporation. All corporations are artificial persons. They're made up of paper. They have no actions whatsoever that they can take because they're paper. In order for a corporation to do an act, an officer must commit that corporation to that act. The bottom line is, if you look at your mortgage process, everything from beginning to end, you're not going to find any bank officer signature there committing the bank. That's known as a fraud. It's known as a fraudulent inducement. It's known as a misconstruction. It's known as misleading. And the reason for that is all corporations must have a man sign on a piece of paper defining their corporate authority for the corporation to act. So please explain to me how a bank could loan you anything unless an officer said that this is the way that it is and signed on it and committed the bank to it. So why worry about the bank? Well, the actual fact of the matter is, with all of these banks being corporations, there was a group of individuals in the 90s that put pressure on the banks, and they reorganized themselves and they moved all of their corporate charters out of the states. You won't find very many banks anymore that have any kind of corporate charter or corporate agent in the states. They're doing business in the states illegally. They've all become national association banks. They're artificial persons. Now, most people seem to think that the banks actually loan you money. In order to do that, they would have to show the source of the money, where it came from. They can't do that. Their audits and their tax reports tell you exactly where the funding from the bank came from. It came from your labor committed to you for the next 20 years for payments to the bank of X amount. In other words, you committed your labor for X amount of your labor every year for the next 30 years to pay the bank. That's the source of funds that came from the bank. The bottom line is, your promissory note is what backed the check that was issued to the seller. We have the documents available. They're available online. You can go and look at the Internal Revenue Service 1099 reports from the banks, and it will tell you exactly what I'm saying. You can look at the bank bookkeeping of the banks as well, and it will tell you exactly what I just said. That the promissory note was taken into the bank as a deposit to back the check to the seller as an outflow from the bank. It's that simple. Now, please explain to me why anyone should worry about the banks when they borrowed your labor without telling you and used it to fund themselves instead of pay for the house. The actual fact of the matter is once the promissory note is issued and the bank marks it paid to the order of, it's a cash item. It's a negotiable instrument. It's a bearer bond. They deposit it in their bank, so at that point your house is paid for. Now, when we, the American people, bailed out the banks, they all admitted they were bankrupt because they had to borrow from us, didn't they? Anybody else in America, if they go bankrupt, meaning they can't pay their bills, they have to have a receiver in a bankruptcy. Either that, the creditors, which would be us, get to come after them. So please explain to me how a bankrupt entity can still do business in this country without being under receivership in a federal bankruptcy court that has sole exclusive control over bankruptcy. That ends today's corner. Stop worrying about the banks, and we'll do some more fun stuff later.